A rival NFL scout discusses exactly why the Miami Dolphins are looking to trade Jalen Ramsey. Plus, Teron Armstead, he's been doing his tour a la Tua, but he had some great things to say about the young pass rusher Chop Robinson. We will discuss that. Plus, ESPN had one of the worst hypothetical additions for the Miami Dolphins. We'll discuss that and so much more. Do me the favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score!
Field on the near side, man open. Touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's got it for the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan.
Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. Appreciate all y'all coming through today. Please do me the favor and smash the like button, as it's very imperative, especially in this down period for NFL in general, not just the Miami Dolphins. But I got some things brewing in the background that should have you tied over well into training camp, right? We're going to have training camp specific and oriented videos starting in July. I got a film, and that'll include prospect profile videos. We'll have all 22 of Kenneth Grant, Dante Trader, and a bunch of other players that I'm probably going to do 3 prospect profiles for the offense, 3 prospect profiles for the defense, and those will be included in my training camp preview videos. I'll be previewing the offense, the defense, and special teams, so you won't want to miss that. Plus, I am planning a film study that should drop before camp as well. And, last year, I did a video right around the end of the preseason explaining why I didn't think Eichenberg and Jones were good enough fits as starters on the offensive line. And sure enough, not only did that video end up being vindicated, but I will have something similar. I'll have film studies based off of what we've seen preseason. So got a lot of content coming your way. And obviously we'll be covering training camp in depth on the channel. So you want to keep it locked into here. So a few things that have happened since we last spoke. Number 1, that would be Justin Tucker. If you didn't see, Justin Tucker was suspended for 10 games, all right, due to violating the league's personal conduct policy. Now, the difference between him and Deshaun Watson is obviously there wasn't, a civil case with like over 20 defendants. Justin Tucker wasn't found guilty of anything, whether a civil case or a criminal case. So he's been suspended for the first 10 weeks of the upcoming season. And a team that I've been told is really kicking the tires on him, funny enough, kicking the tires on a kicker, are the New York Jets. So right now he's a free agent. All right. So he can try out and he can sign with the club. If he signed during the offseason, then obviously he can attend training camp. He can participate in preseason games, but then when the regular season starts, he will have to deal with the 10-game suspension. So he'll be eligible for reinstatement on November 11th. All right. So it's basically going to be, the suspension will be effective after roster cutdown day on August 26th. So listen, even if he's not under contract with a team, the suspension is being served out. So he doesn't have to sign till November 11th, basically. But a team that I keep hearing is really kicking the tires on him are the New York Jets. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, listen, they didn't have Deshaun Watson levels of stuff, but we all remember what happened with Brett Favre, and when he went to a New York Jet, became a New York Jet, and all the controversy that happened, the infamous pictures he was sending a reporter, et cetera, et cetera. Is New York really a market you want to put a guy with that kind of background in under the microscope like that? Hey, I guess they're probably looking from it. Don't take a risk. Don't get a reward. But good luck to the New York Jets. That's one distraction you don't need in life. But we'll see what happens and how it plays out. And, I wanted to talk about something too. We had a sobering stat from Warren Sharp on the last episode regarding the Miami Dolphins being stuffed in short yardage situations. Another crazy one that he threw out there was total offensive penalty yards in 2024. The Miami Dolphins had 465 offensive penalty yards in 2024. That was the 9th most. But just to put in perspective, 8th most, Tampa Bay, was about 466. All right. That's not good. And to put it even further in perspective, they're only about 30 yards off from third place. New Orleans had 495. You look at it and you're going to say, well, the motion and everything. But, I've told you guys this, and it's not great. If you look at the most accepted penalties in the last 2 years, 14 by Julian Hill. Let me put it in perspective, okay? Let me put it in perspective. Everyone who has 14 or more is either an offensive tackle, a guard, a cornerback. And there's one edge rusher in the mix. Micah Parsons has 14. Julian Hill is the only tight end or receiver with 14 accepted offensive penalties or more in the NFL over the last 2 years. That's terrible. And let's say at minimum, that's 5 yards of penalty, minimum. And we know a lot of those are holds. So I'm being nice. At minimum, if you do the math, that's 70 yards. But we know those are holds. We know probably the majority of those are holds. So it's safe to say that over 100 yards in penalties over the last 2 years by just Julian Hill alone. So, yeah, you can sit here and talk about lining up and motion. And, think about this for a second, okay? All right, really put this in perspective. No Miami Dolphin offensive tackle or guard has 14 or more. Think about that for a second. And we're talking about Eichenberg has played starting snaps. Robert Jones has played starting snaps. That's bad. That's really, really bad. And, even more reason why they should be trying to work something out with Jonnu Smith. Oh, my God. So, when you look at last year in 2024, 465 total offensive penalty yards last year. And when you look at over the last 2 years, you talk about it, right? Like, I don't know. Those 14 penalties by Julian Hill, that's good for like 11th in the NFL over the last 2 years. That's terrible. At least Julian Hill's almost top 10 in something, huh? So I just thought that was kind of crazy, man. And they're going to continue to try and make this work. Man, I know we're talking about culture being a, show it, I got to see it before I believe it type of deal. Show it and prove it type of deal. Julian Hill, he falls under that category too, I think, for a lot of people. So, especially for me. So, they can try and highlight all the catches he can make in training camp, preseason, wherever. No. Let's see when the real snaps start flying, right? So, All right. A rival NFL scout spoke to Athlon Sports. Athlon Sports, a sports magazine that's been around since 1967. And they actually have, they're famous. You can go find it. They've got their fantasy football guide that you can find, in magazine form. But they also, every year, Athlon Sports drops their 2025 NFL preview magazine edition. All right. And they took an excerpt out of that, and they basically let us know exactly what time it was with what a rival NFL scout is saying regarding Jalen Ramsey and the real reason why the Miami Dolphins are looking to trade him. And again, it goes back to my report. Remember, the day after, right, when news started rumbling that a Miami Dolphin was getting traded and I confirmed it was Jalen Ramsey, the day after that, I had a report out and I told everyone it's about the relationship with Mike McDaniel and Jalen Ramsey, right? I let everyone know exactly what time it was. And, Armando Salguero, he came out and he verified that. And then it just kept going further and further and further. And now, here we go. We've got rival NFL scout now basically saying this is exactly what time it is. And a lot of it does, in fact, come down to his relationship with Mike McDaniel. All right. So here is the article that I am talking about. Rival scout sheds light on real reason Dolphins are looking to trade Jalen Ramsey. Miami Dolphins open training camp for the 2025 NFL season in less than a month, and the fate of one of their star players, veteran cornerback Jalen Ramsey, remains uncertain. Multiple reports say it is very likely the 7-time Pro Bowler will be traded before the season begins, though it hasn't happened yet. According to one rival scout, however, the move seems inevitable. Ramsey, who will be 31 in October, recently signed a contract extension, making him the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. His cap hit for the 2025 season is $16.6 million. Still, the rival scout told Athlon Sports that the Dolphins' desire to move Ramsey has less to do with his salary. It is more about how he gets along with his head coach, Mike McDaniel. The broken relationship between Jalen Ramsey and McDaniel is why he's on the trade block, said the anonymous scout. No one has been able to explain what happened, but I was told this actually has nothing to do with money. It's a vote of no confidence in McDaniel. If the Ramsey trade goes down, this is a huge talent drain in the secondary. Those comments were made as part of the exclusive Dolphins scouting report in the Athlon Sports 2025 NFL Preview magazine. So there you go. All right. And rookies report to training camp on July 15th. Veterans report on July 22nd. So look at what he said there. No confidence. It's a show of no confidence by Ramsey. And, again, I go back to, I just keep getting vindicated with what's going on right now. And it is not a good situation in Miami. Like, listen, I know there's people with any coach. It doesn't matter whether it's, something as simple as really people are on the side of McDaniel and people are not on the side of McDaniel. It happens with every coach. There's people who still defend, obviously, right? There's people who still defend Brian Flores. You're just going to have people that are on both sides. That's just always going to be how it works, right? You're going to have, there's people that still, like, let's be honest, I'm sure you can find them. There's people that still support Adam Gase, which is wild, wild, but, absolutely wild that people would actually, but that's the world we live in. This is what it is about. So, anyways, this is just where where we're at right now with this situation. Now, with Ramsey and everything, I mean, listen, it's unbelievable that we've gotten to this point. I had a update, 2 months ago, about how he's been unhappy for a while, right? And he's just like, the fact of the matter is he's just not a fan of McDaniel, right? And I had this out April 15th, I believe, is when I had this report out to you guys that, so I knew this months and months ago, and all I've done has been vindicated by Armando Salguero and now Athlon Sports and the rival, NFL Scout. But I mean, I was told, right, if you go back to that April 15th update that I told you guys, I was told that I had heard consistently that Ramsey, there was a disconnect between him and Coach Mike McDaniel. I was told he's not a fan of McDaniel's coaching style, McDaniel's coaching style, demeanor, and the culture that he's built in Miami. So before this whole culture talk, I was mentioning culture in that report in April, before the draft, right? So, and I said back then, and I'll say now, this is the biggest red flag of it all. I mean, he will coddle Tyreek Hill. He'll give Tyreek Hill everything. But Ramsey, Ramsey wants to win right now. Ramsey wants to build his legacy with championships. Whereas Tyreek Hill wants to build his legacy with individual stats. That's the difference between them. And like the Athlon Sports said there, it shows a no confidence in McDaniel. Like, that is not good. Right? Like, it's a vote of no confidence in McDaniel. Those are harsh words. And it comes back to it. The culture that's here, right? Ramsey wasn't a fan of the culture. A lot of players were unhappy with how Tyreek Hill has been coddled, and here we are. And, I've already told you guys that I've heard that McDaniel was trying to make an example out of him in front of the team in meetings, and that didn't go over very well. So, it's just a mess. And this is, I think, another reason why we are having a problem moving him. It's because no team, A, wants to take on that cost. B, some want to move him to safety. But C, they know they have all the power. They have all the leverage. They know Ramsey doesn't want to be with McDaniel, and then McDaniel doesn't want Ramsey. It's not like everything's hunky-dory and it's sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, and some team called in to check on Jalen Ramsey, and they're like, oh, well, what are you offering? That's different. You're going to get a little bit more than that. But, they know Ramsey's unhappy with it. They know McDaniel's unhappy with it. Then you put in Ramsey's cost. Then you put in Ramsey's lack of desire wanting to move to safety, and we know that comes down to the cornerback money. So, that's like 4 factors working against the Miami Dolphins in this situation. And this is why I keep having worries that they're going to come away with like a 5th round pick or like a 5th that can turn into a 4th maybe. So hopefully I'm wrong on that front. I would love to be wrong and they come away with like a 3rd or like a guaranteed 4th. But at this stage and with what's working against us, at least Jair Alexander got off the market real quick, so we don't have to deal with that. But now we're about to come up on July where Asante Samuel is about to do all of his checks, and if he gets clearance from the doctor, all of a sudden he becomes a hot commodity on the market. So now we're competing against that. So, man, we'll see what happens. But it does seem like, it does seem like this is going to happen again before camp. So let's hope it happens quicker, quicker than we expect and sooner rather than later. All right. So let's keep it rolling here. Teron Armstead, he was on Gordon Morning Football and he was bigging up Chop Robinson.
Chop Robinson.
Young buck.
Chop. Von Miller-esque. Von Miller-like.
Got the dip? Hey.
Von Millerism.
Ooh, okay.
He has that.
Slippery.
Chop has that. He started off the year slow, really slow. The second half of the season, Chop was arguably the best pass rusher in the league.
Wow.
His get-off is elite. His ability to bend is elite. He's learning more about the game. He's getting more cerebral. He's having a plan. He's going to start the year off he's blazing coming out the gate this year. He get Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips out there with him, so can take some of the attention off of him. He get more one-on-one opportunities. I can see him leading the league in sacks. Maybe not this year.
He didn't have big sack numbers coming out of school. People were questioning him, and they kept. I remember that draft process. Everyone was talking about the freak athletic ability. Is there a moment that stands out where you said, "Hey, this dude is just different because of the traits"?
You've seen it early, OTAs. You've seen him just move because he coming from the same school as Michael Parsons, so he had the Michael Parsons comparison. I don't really see the Michael Parsons comparison as a player. I see more Von Miller. So I see the movement ability, but once he was able to start putting things together throughout the season, you saw the production. And it's scary. He is, I'm telling you, he's going to get double teams, he's going to get chipped by tight end. All right.
And, I mean, listen, Chop Robinson is someone that I've been hyping up. And, you know, for all of you that still stick around, that's, you know, I'm planning my film study to be on Chop Robinson coming up, you know, before training camp starts. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I want to put together with him because y'all know I was leading that bandwagon last year for him. I want us to draft him. They drafted him. People were out here calling this kid a bust and hating on the pick. And then sure enough, like Armstead said, he was one of the better pass rushers in the second half of the season. And you really saw it, right? He loved winning with that rip. And then he started, I kept talking about this, right? You saw early on in the Colts game and such, he was getting held and he wasn't earning the calls yet. Then he started earning the calls because he started winning more often and consistently. And he loved that rip, but then he started adding stuff to the rip, right? And he started showing more tricks in his pass rush bag, and he started showing a better pass rush game plan. And one thing that he was clearly evident by the end of the season is he was setting the edge a lot better. Right? He was just doing a much better job at it. I mean, look at this guy. Most sacks of any rookie edge player, second most pressures amongst all rookie edge players, highest pass rush win rate amongst all rookie edge players, fourth highest in defensive rookie of the year voting. Like, I'm telling you, the kid has it, and he's just going to get better. And I love how Armstead's propping up, because remember, Armstead is one of the guys who was coaching this kid up to make him better, to help him get better, to help him beat offensive linemen. He was giving him, you know, he had one, when healthy, Terron Armstead's a top 3 left tackle in the game, and you got him giving you tips and tricks on how to beat him and how to beat players just as good of him. And you heard the comparison compared to Von Miller. Love it. Love it. That is a big time comparison. Man, I'm telling you, Chop has it. And he's right. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb stay healthy. Zach Sealer stays healthy as well. Another solid year. And now adding Kenneth Grant to that mix. Ooh-wee, baby. That front is going to eat. And Chop Robinson might be scraping his plate clean. Like, I can't wait. I cannot wait for this year of Chop. Chop, baby. Chop. All right. And finally here, ESPN. I don't know what they're on over there, but they're on the good stuff. That's all I know. They proposed one final offseason move for all 32 NFL teams. All right. So let's skip to Miami here. Sign wide receiver Keenan Allen. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle give the Miami Dolphins 2 excellent outside receivers, but there are questions about the slot. Right now, Miami's top slot options are the Washington Knott brothers, 2 low-round draft picks from a year ago. 2024, Malik Washington had just 26 catches for 223 yards, with no touchdowns, while Tajay Washington missed the entire rookie season with an undisclosed injury. That makes Miami the perfect landing spot for a seasoned veteran like Allen. Allen is 33, but still had 70 catches for 744 yards and 7 touchdowns in Chicago a year ago. He did poorly in ESPN's receiver tracking metrics last season, but still got open, as indicated by his 57 open score. Hill and Waddle would give Allen a ton of room to work underneath, giving quarterback Tua Tagovailoa a nice security blanket. No. You got Nick Westbrook-Ikine. Like, well, what are we doing here? We don't need that. Like, no. We need a cornerback. Like, what are we talking about here? No. That is terrible. And we got Nick Westbrook-Ikine, and they want to see Malik Washington grow in year 2. Like, they had the Houston Texans signing Rasul Douglas in that article. That makes more sense for us. I don't know what they're talking about, like, at all. That makes 0 sense, if you ask me. So, no on Keenan Allen. I mean, we don't need another receiver right now. You know? Like, at this point, people are talking about bringing back Xavier Howard. No, he's been out of the league for a while. At this point, you got to check in on Kendall Fuller and see where the concussions are at. You know? Asante Samuel Jr. would be a better option than that. You know, like I said, as would Rasul Douglas would be a better option than that. So I just don't think that's feasible. I don't think that's smart. And, you know, the way they're spending resources and the way they've got the pockets closed, I don't think the Miami Dolphins would see that as smart either way, too. So, guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Appreciate each and every one of you guys and gals for coming through. I love each and every one of you. And be sure, I will be live very, very soon. And when I am, make sure you tune in, all right? Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. As always, fins up all day, every day. We'll see y'all on the next one.